Alright, so welcome to Project Atlas. In the introduction, we looked at the complete journey we are going to take from the application and developer workflow through CI/CD and Kubernetes deployment, all the way to production operations and eventually cloud infrastructure on AWS. We also saw that this journey is divided into 5 major phases. Phase 1 is where where it all begins, application and developer workflow. Before we start automating anything, we first need to understand the application we are going to work with. So in this phase, we will follow the journey of an application from the developer's machine to GitHub, and then step into the role of the DevOps engineer. We will look at the repository, understand the application structure, any dependencies, run the test, and verify that the application actually works in our environment. Once we establish that foundation, we will be ready to move into phase 2, which is the CI/CD. So with the roadmap refreshed, let's get into phase 1. All right, now imagine you are working in a real software company. A developer has just finished working on a new feature. They've tested their code. Everything looks good. And now it's time to hand it over. But how does that code get from the developer's computer into the DevOps environment? The developer pushes the source code to GitHub, the central repository where the team's code is stored and managed. From there, the DevOps engineer doesn't need to ask the developer to send files or copy folders manually. Instead, the DevOps engineer simply clones the repository. One command only, git clone. With git clone, the entire project is pulled from GitHub into the DevOps environment. Now, the DevOps engineer has the same source code the developer pushed and can begin doing begin doing what DevOps does: automating, testing, packaging, deploying, and eventually getting that application into production. And that's exactly what we are going to stimulate in Project Atlas. We will start with the developer's code on GitHub, then switch roles and step into the shoes of the DevOps engineer. Let's get started. So now we are going to clone the application from GitHub into the DevOps environment. Now back in the terminal, you write git clone, then you paste the URL you copied from GitHub and press enter. Now we change directory to the newly cloned repo to inspect it. Our first responsibility as a DevOps engineer is not to install tools. First, let's understand the application we've received. Our goal is to inspect the main files. Good, so now we've seen the files we are working with. Our next goal is to check the content of the files to know what we are about. So we cut the content of the files one after the other to check. So from our inspection, the repository tells us that this application's language is Python and it depends on PyTest. So rather than installing project dependencies globally on the machine, we are going to create an isolated Python virtual environment and install the dependencies defined by the application itself. And the reason why we are doing all this is that we want to check whether the developer's code is working and perfect before whatever we have to do, we do. So now that we've activated the virtual Python environment, we then install the project declared dependency that was declared in the requirement file. Now that we've successfully installed the dependency, let's run the PyTest to check whether the code is working. Good, so now everything is working. Since we've verified the test, now let's verify the runtime behavior described in the README.